And I'm back. Welcome to another edition of a Runnin Thought podcast. Edition, an episode of a Runnin Thought podcast, coming to you from on top of a volcano in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Sometimes I get that right, and most of the time I don't. Anyways, welcome back. Thanks for joining me again for another episode. Nothing too crazy exciting going on this week, but I wanted to kind of keep the momentum going and deliver at least an episode a week. I think I did one or two last week, so just wanted to keep that up. What's going on? Just to remind everybody, I did set up a Reddit page. If you're on Reddit, you can go to r/a Runnin Thought, and that is a page for the podcast. So you can post stuff there if you want me to talk about something, if you want to gripe about the podcast or whatever you want to do, you can do it there. Post funny things. I love seeing funny pictures, especially stuff that's related to trail running. Back when I was on social media personally, there was an account called Ultra Running Memes that would post stuff on Instagram, and that thing was hilarious. I don't know if they're still doing it, but those are great. So if you're on Instagram, then I recommend go check that out. But moreover, I recommend just get off of all social media except for Reddit, because that's where a Random Thought Podcast has a page. So anyways, go to r/a Runnin Thought. That's RUNNIN, no G, thought dot, and so r/a Runnin Thought, and then you can say whatever you want to say. And I also post whenever there's new episodes or whenever there's a new product in the Teespring shop. If you can and if you want to, go to the Teespring shop, and there's a bunch of stuff in there that you can get. I got new in there. There are neck gaiters, face masks, and trucker hats. The trucker hat's awesome. Although when you go into the Teespring shop, you're not going to be able to see the front of it, which is kind of silly. But I did post an image of what the front looks like on the Reddit page, so you can see that there. And then also, if you follow me on Strava, I actually got one and I love it. The hat maker, I've seen this hat maker before with other kind of branded goods, and it's Yupung, Yuppoong. I am imagining that this is Korean, or I think that's Korean. But anyways, the authentic snapback trucker hat, it's awesome. Sometimes you get into a trucker hat and it just looks weird, like it's got the big floofy kind of front to it, and it's kind of, you're almost a caricature wearing them. But this one's really stylish, and it looks good, and it only comes in one color, black, to make you look even cooler. And the print is very metal, and you'll always be able to remember where to go to see podcast stuff, because I've got the website right on it. And so if you can, please go to the Teespring shop, support me. I don't really make that big of a cut off of these. Teespring is kind of expensive, but I like using them because I don't have to have like an overhead. I don't have to have a bunch of shirts and stuff inside of my home, so they just print as needed and send out. But I will say, like, for the trucker hat, that's actually a stitched item, so pretty nice. But anyways, I got some of the face masks too. The face mask, it's okay. The elastic on it needs to be stretched out a little bit, at least on the two that I got. But other than that, it's great. So face masks and trucker hats, brand new. And then I also redesign some stuff that I didn't think looked quite right, and also added all over print joggers. So you can pick that stuff up at the Teespring shop. That's teespring.com/stores/a thought goods dash goods. Or you can go to runninthought.com, again, no G, and there's links to the Teespring shop there. What else? Events coming up. I forgot to plug in the zip code into Ultra Sign Up, so I'm gonna have to do that right now. It looks like not too much has changed. So still the Go Big 260 miler, Saturday, December 26, 2020. It is still on according to ultrasignup.com, and it looks like the city will be Hilo. Same Go Big 100 miler and 50K, Saturday, December 26, 2020, also Hilo. And then make sure to just go check out the websites or Ultra Sign Up for those events, because I want to say that one of those actually starts on a different day than Saturday, but I could be wrong, and the start cities may not be the same. But honestly, if you're signing up for them, you probably would know where to go and be checking anyway. But yeah, so check out the actual pages for those two, the Go Big 260 miler and then the 100 miler and 50K events. New Year's Cheers is a 6-hour 5K and 3-hour events. Those are 3 separate events, and that's Saturday, January 23rd, 2021 in Volcano. The Bacoa Spring Fling 50K and 100 miler, that is going to be Saturday, February 20th, 2021, and that's in Ninole. Under the Moon 200K, 100K, 50K, that's Saturday, June 26, 2021, and that is showing Hilo. Moving over to Hawaii Running Lab, they've got some events coming up. It looks like I was trying to get a page with everything on it, but I guess they don't list it out on one page. But events coming up, the Mele Kimikimaka Marathon 5K and 10K. This is a virtual event, and also they've got a full marathon, 26.2 mile. You do that between November 18th and December 31st, so time is ticking. You can go to hawaiirunninglab.com to sign up for that. Also on hawaiirunninglab.com, there's the Winter Challenge 30K, 50K, and 50 mile. It looks like that's going on between December 1st, 2020 and February 28th, 2021. And so those 2 events can be found on hawaiirunninglab.com under the events section. Moving on, checking out runningintheusa.com. It looks like for Big Island, we've got Jingle Bell Beach Run, which is a 5K. That's going to be on December 20th, 2020, and that's in Kailua Kona. The Hilo to Volcano Ultra and Relay, I checked the actual site for this one, and it looks like the live, I guess, race events have been canceled, but it's still on for virtual, and that's a 50K run and a 50K relay. The Big Island International Marathon, March 14th, 2021. That is a 26.2 miler, the full marathon, 13.1 mile half marathon, 10K, 5K, 2 mile run, and that's going to be in Hilo. And then the Ironman, of course, is June 5th, 2021, and that's in Waimea. For some reason, I was thinking it started in Kona, but what do I know? But yeah, it says Waimea. And then one more, the Kona Marathon, that's going to be on June 27th, 2021. That's a full marathon, half marathon, 10K, 5K, and that's going to be in, of course, Kailua Kona. Looking at runguides.com, there's some different events. The Kona Brewers Festival Run for hops, that's going to be March 13th, 2021. They're allowing 100 to 500 participants, and it looks like that's a road race, 5K and 10K. Seeing if there's anything different. Okay. Hapalua, Hawaii's half marathon, April 11th, 2021. That's 5,000 to 10,000 participants. Waimea, Hawaii, that's a road half marathon. Volcano Ohia Lehua half marathon will be in Volcano, Hawaii, April 2021, and it looks like the exact date is still to be determined. That's a trail 5K half marathon. And there is also, it looks like the Ka'u Coffee Trail Run is to be determined, but it's going to be in September 2021. It looks like they're planning on having that event this year. I don't know if it was, next year. I don't know if it was canceled this year. I think it was, but I'm not sure. But anyway, that's an awesome event. I've run that one before. It's a trail, 5K, 10K, and half marathon. And it's substantially difficult. It's on a patch of private land that belongs to the Ka'u coffee mill. And you run in a bunch of coffee fields and up the side of Mauna Loa, basically, the foothills of Mauna Loa. And it is a lot of climbing. It's really nice once you get about halfway up and then to the top. It's beautiful views down the... hopefully I'm not getting this wrong, but yeah, I would get that wrong if I were to say what I was just going to say. But you can look at the coast from the halfway point and the top, and it's beautiful. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Pictures would probably help at this point. If I can find some that I've taken up there, I'll post them, but usually I don't take that many pictures, especially during events. But yeah, so that's, put that on your calendar for sure, for September. Specific date to be determined. And then I think that's everything I wanted to cover as far as stuff that's coming up. So this week, not too crazy as far as running has gone. I only logged about 14 miles this week. I've slowed down significantly. I'm actually not feeling that great when I'm getting out this week. My watch yesterday told me that I should lay off and not do anything at all, but I can't do that. I had to go and do a little something. But man, I'm telling you what, ever since I fell, my knee and my hip on my left side's been hurting, and then also my right side has been acting up, my knee. So that's, I guess all part of the fun of getting old and I guess being a runner. But I'll just push through it and just keep going. I find that if I do stay steady and keep doing activities, every day, that it's better for me than if I stop and let those muscles atrophy or just get out of shape. It's much, much harder to come back than it is to just try to stay the course, at least for me. But yeah, so I've logged fewer miles. I barely, by the skin of my teeth, made my weekly goal last week, and it looks like I'm not going to make my yearly goal for this year. So I had flirted with the idea of kind of making December into 2 months and then doing some running in the morning and then doubling up on a run in the evening each day for the rest of December. But it seems like every day I wake up, I decide that that's not a great plan. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But I'm just going to keep plugging along and just see how far I can get. And then 2021 is going to be a new year, and I hope it'll be a better one than what this one's been. I was talking to a friend that had probably the worst year of her life. And so that's horrible. I could say that 2021, not 2021, 2020 has not been the worst year of my life. I've had several others that were much, much worse than this one has been thus far. But it is definitely on the top 10 of my worst years list. Yeah. And probably I bet it's safe to say that that's true for most people. But anyway, if you're out there and you're having a horrible year, then just know you're not alone. And everything changes. And so even though it's horrible now, it's not going to stay that way forever. So just, hang in there. Life is weird. And sometimes it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason. Yesterday, while I was on my run on Bayfront, besides all of the kind of sadness that is out there with people living in their cars, people living in tents along the coast, and people living just outside of tents. I hate to bum everybody out, but there's a puppy dog that I've seen out there, and I think it belongs to one of the people that either lived or either lives or was living on Bayfront, like out where the kind of people park. It's like a gravel area, like right in front of sort of the rugby fields, like out on the coast, and then downtown proper, Hilo proper, kind of that area in front of there was a family living in tents or living out of a car in that area, and they had this puppy dog. I don't know if it was theirs, but it was always like in their general vicinity. I think the family has since left, but I saw this dog a couple of times, and I always worried about it because it was just a puppy, and it didn't seem to know any better. Right next to the road, it was like running out in the road and then coming back, and I never got hit by a car, which I was glad. But yesterday, I think it was the same puppy dog. As I was running out towards the bridge in Hilo, I don't recall seeing this animal on the road. But then as I was coming back, the animal was laying on the road, which kind of sucks. I mean, it doesn't kind of suck. It really sucks because it was a pretty dog, and I like dogs anyway. Like I'm super. I prefer dogs over cats. Not that I hate cats, but I'm more of a dog person, I guess. If that helps illuminate anything about me, but I don't know why. I don't know what the point of all that sidetracking was, but anyways, so I didn't see it going up, and then on the way back, this poor dog was in the kind of like the side lane of the road, and of course it was gone. Somebody had hit it looked like, and so that sucked. And for a split second I thought about maybe going and moving it out of the road, but I just I didn't want to accept that, and I didn't want to look at it. I was kind of putting my head in the sand a little bit, and I also didn't really know about like going, because I was mid run, and it wasn't like I could go like wash my hands or anything like that. And so, yes, I know I'm a horrible person, but I didn't understand why the poor thing had to be hit in that particular area. It's not a super high speed area. I would think that somebody could have dodged it, but I guess, they didn't. So anyways, that was sad, right? But again, kind of illuminating my point of everything changes, right? The world doesn't really make sense. There's no like rhyme or reason, it seems like. Later on in my run, I came across a bunch of ladies on roller skates. It was the most badass thing I've seen in Hilo since I've been here, uh, out running, and all of these ladies were on roller skates, not rollerblades, but roller skates, and they had the Far Side going on a boombox. Which, first of all, I haven't heard the Far Side besides like inside of my vehicle, like or me listening to it. I haven't heard them since like other people play them since probably like the 90s, right? So and these look like younger ladies, younger women, and so that was awesome. Like that, a younger generation was into the Far Side. How cool is that? Um, but then also they were all on roller skates. So I don't know if that was the roller derby um, team from Hilo. I know there is one, or there was one, but I don't know if that was them or if it's just a group of ladies that are getting together to do that. But whoever you are, that was pretty cool to see, especially towards the end of my run, just to see these um, skaters going down the road on their roller skates. And if I recall correctly, they were kind of like mixing it up. They weren't just going down the road. They were kind of doing a little bit of choreography, or what's the word? How do you say that as an adjective? Choreographed moves. Yeah. So pretty cool. Keep that up. That was awesome and good music selection. They were playing at the time that I saw them. They were playing. I don't remember the actual title of the song, but "There's Always Other Fish in the Sea," or is the lyrics to the song. So that was cool. But I mean, so life went from like super sad to super awesome pretty quick, within the span of an hour for me. And my point being that it can happen for you. And so don't do anything crazy. Don't do any permanent solutions to temporary problems. Don't try not to ruin relationships because of heartache that you're experiencing right now, because it's hard on everybody, not just you. And people just are not themselves right now, and you just gotta kind of roll with it and just know that life is short, but it's the longest thing that you're ever gonna do, and things are bound to change, hopefully for the better. Let's keep our fingers crossed for that. But yeah, again, running's helped me, even though it hurts a little bit now. It's helped me kind of keep myself composed through all of this junk, including the several months that I had no job. I was super worried about losing my truck and not being able to pay bills. And thankfully, I had some money stuffed away that I was able to like get by. But I tell you, like, it was by the skin of my teeth, and so that was super concerning. And if you're out there going through that, I'm with you. I feel you, because there were days where I felt like totally useless and like a non-viable, worthless person. Yeah. And I just had to get out of that mindset, because it just was not. So not to be pretentious or like put myself on too high of a pedestal, but it wasn't me. Okay, so it was me because I left my other job like a moron during this pandemic and with the job climate as it is. But the reason that I wasn't getting hired back on was not totally a me thing, right? Companies are super horrible right now. It's a nightmare. If you go to Reddit. There is a subreddit called Recruiting Hell. It's r/recruiting hell, and it's just horror stories from all the people all over Reddit that have been through these nightmare scenarios with recruiters, with interviews, panel interviews, the stupid tests that some companies give during the interview process that have nothing to do with the actual position. And just the overall finicky way that employers interview potential employees, candidates, and reject them or ghost them or whatever. But it's so prevalent, and it apparently it's happening to a lot of people. So if you're out there and you don't have a job, and it's really getting to you and you're not able to pay your bills, I've been there, man. So just hang in there. Like I say, everything is not permanent. I can still remember a time in my young life where me and my wife started out in Atlanta, and our whole apartment was probably as big as one room in the house that we live in now. And the house that we live in now is not that huge. We didn't even have full-size appliances in that apartment. It was like miniature stuff that you would find in like a hole-in-the-wall motel or something. And the neighbor next door smoked pot like 24 hours a day, and it always smelled weird. And at night, there was all kinds of criminal activity down on the street. We lived in Midtown Atlanta. And I remember my wife having a panic attack one time because she was just super sad with the whole situation. I told her to look out at the skyline and just know that there's a whole huge world out there, and that even though we were kind of having a hard time then, that it wouldn't be like that forever, and everything changes. And so it definitely has. Things have changed for the better, things have changed for the worse. The world's a totally different place than it was at that point in time, and it's gonna continue to change for better and for worse, I would assume. Just hang in there and keep on trucking, keep on running, everything. Trying to think of something interesting to tie this back into actual running. I'm going to Volcano, I think, today. I decided to do this podcast before I go running because it seems like if I try to do it after, I never have time, and then also or I don't feel like it. Also, I have other plans, I guess, for this evening, so I probably wouldn't have time to do it anyway. So I wanted to go ahead and get it in. But yeah, going to Volcano later today. So I'm psyched about that. As always, it's going to be cold up there. Here's something to tie it back into running. If you live on a big island and you live in the lower elevations, and you leave your house and you're going to Volcano, and at your house it's 80 degrees, right? Or 85 or whatever. Just know that when you get up to Volcano, you may actually encounter temperatures like in the 50s or 60s. And so it's always a good idea to bring along a long sleeve shirt, right? And it's a good idea to bring along dry clothes just in case you need to change before you get back in your vehicle and drive home. That's a lesson that I still haven't learned, and sometimes I will make those provisions, and then sometimes I just totally forget. I get in a hurry and I don't even think to bring extra clothes or bring a long sleeve shirt, and then I'll get up there and the wind will be blowing and it will be super cold, especially in the morning or in the evening time. So yeah, there's some practical advice from me about going up to the Volcano. There's been a lot more activity. It seems like earthquake or seismic, and I guess apparently there's a raised alert level on Mauna Loa right now. So just be aware of those things when you go to volcano. Um, but everything is pretty much open right now, as far as I know. I have not been to the Kahuku unit. I wanted to go a couple of weekends ago when we went to snorkel down in Honauno. I know I probably just messed up that name, but we'll just say Two Step. On our way to Two Step, I wanted to stop in to the Kahuku unit of Volcanoes National Park, but we just didn't have time to do it. But I'd like to get up there again at some point. That'd be cool. If you've never been, that's a great place to go. It's kind of out of the way if you're in Hilo or even in Kona, because it's down near South Point. But yeah, definitely cool to check out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna take a minute to change this GarageBand to time. Looks like I've only been going for 31 minutes, which is not that long at all. I wanted to sort of reminisce and harken back on my days of running in Georgia, because I know I talk about running in Hawaii a little bit, or probably more than a little bit, and most people don't live on Hawaii statistically. You probably live elsewhere if you're listening to this, and so I hopefully have some people in Georgia or near the Atlanta metro area that could benefit from knowing where some cool trails are. And so two of my favorite, and I mentioned both of them, I believe, on the podcast previously. One of them was the Georgia International Horse Park, and then the other was Panola Mountain State Park. I still think about, like, while I'm on runs here in Hawaii, I still think about some of the runs that I had at the International Horse Park, because it was such a big, long bunch of trails, and it was so different depending on which way you went. But the horse park is off of I-20, I believe. I'm looking at the map. I need to get out, to zoom out. Yeah. So it's off of I-20 in Conyers, and part of it is inside of the horse park, but then there's trails that actually go across Costly Mill Road and over into sort of like a forested area. I think it's still technically horse trails, but it's not part of the main horse park at Conyers. But that's a pretty cool place to go and check out. There's a big old lake out there, and then Big Haynes Nature Trail, I think, is another entry point for that. But if you want a trail run, that's a great place. I actually had I did a Ragnar relay one time with a friend from high school and a bunch of people that he knew, and it was so much fun because I ran those trails all the time. But to actually do an event with friends out there was really cool. So a lot of good memories from that place. And I don't know if it's still there, but they used to have kind of wild, but they had like I don't know what you call it. It was like a model train society, but they used like outdoor trains, and it was like a bigger scale. Like I think you could actually ride on these trains, but it wasn't like huge to where you would fit inside of them. It was just like you could sit on top of them, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But they had that thing out there, and so that was cool to see whenever it was operational. But they got bathrooms and I think it's open for bike and running and probably, I guess, hiking and horses. Some parts of it. But yeah, so that's a cool place to go. I have a lot of good memories from there. And then also, besides the horse park, there was Panola Mountain State Park. Again, a lot of good memories there. A lot of miles logged. So Panola Mountain State Park, I've said this before, but it's in Stockbridge, Georgia, and the biggest draw is Panola Mountain, which is a monadnock. I think I'm saying that right. It's a granite outcrop, kind of like Stone Mountain. I don't know. You may or may not be familiar with Stone Mountain, but if you look up Stone Mountain, Georgia, you're probably going to see images of this thing. Well, Panola Mountain is the same type of rock formation. It's really cool, really unique, and there's a lot of unique plants that grow around this area. You see a lot of deer on these trails, but I believe that the trails that run from Panola Mountain State Park all the way down to, where do they go? I want to say that round trip you're looking at about 27 miles, I think. I could be wrong. I'm gonna try to look at their website and see. But it's pretty long. I think it's like 14 miles maybe down to the end of the trail, and then of course, round trip 27, 28 miles, something like that. But those are pretty cool, and you'll go through like a bunch of different areas. Okay, yeah, it says 25 miles of trail. And so I was looking for a map. That's a Path Foundation Trail. And it's kind of, it's not linear, so it doesn't just go straight up and straight down. There's several different directions that you can go, and there's several different places that you can start on this trail. And it looks like it may have actually gotten a little bit bigger. But I used to love to go to this trail because it was like 15 minutes away from where we lived, and it was beautiful. See a lot of deer. I think I've seen some turkey out on this trail, like kind of closer to South Rockdale Community Park. You'd see more deer and turkey and stuff out that way. But this thing goes all the way down to the monastery of the Holy Spirit. So it ends up at a monastery. So a bunch of monks, I guess, live there. That's their crib. And you can hear the church bells sometimes. They've got a nice parking lot down there, but I believe it ends at that point unless they built some more onto it since I was there. It's been about 4 or 5 years since the last time I ran there. But yeah, so this monastery is there. You can actually go into on the monastery grounds. I ran around in there before, and I think there is like some kind of a shop that you can shop at. Maybe I might be wrong. I'm actually gonna look that up right now because I don't want to. Monastery of the Holy Spirit gift shop. Yeah, there totally is. Let's see if they've got a website. Yep, they do. It's called the Abbey Store. Let's see what they've got in there. I never went inside the store, but we're all going to learn something now. So if you want to check this out, it's Holy Spirit Monasterygifts.com, and you can see what they've got in there. It looks like there's a lot of religious items. They've got some fruitcake and some biscotti, like some interesting stuff. But it looks like the local gift shop is temporarily closed, and so you wouldn't be able to go in now. Doggone COVID. hopefully there'll be a vaccine. It's working well soon, and we'll be able to get past all this COVID stuff, and you can visit that gift shop again. But anyways, back to the trails. It's awesome. You go through woods, you go over bridges. South River runs through this trail. Also, Rock Creek runs through this trail. And there's a couple of little parks that you can stop at. I remember one of the parks that's along this trail. So I would always start off at sort of like the tippy top. Gosh, this thing, I've zoomed in way too much. So where did I start at? It's so huge. So we live sort of proximal to Lithonia, and there's a starting point near the mall at Stonecrest. And so I think that's where I would usually... Oh, actually, no. They moved it up. So I don't remember those starting points. Maybe they were... Yeah, they were there. They were there. So I think what I would do is run up to those. I never parked out there. I would always park at Arabia Mountain Trailhead, and that's usually where I would start from. But I would run up north to like sort of where the mall is, and then back down. And that's kind of like a populous part. But then once you get out on the trail, you'll see houses, but for the most part, it's pretty, rural. But Arabia Mountain Trailhead is where I would start. And then there's another park, Panola Mountain State Park, that's south of that. And I remember one time I took my son to their visitors center for they had like a reptile day there, and they had like all these snakes, venomous and non-venomous, inside. And so we were checking those out. And then they actually had a tree climbing thing outside, and so it was not free climbing. The kids actually got to put on helmets, and they sort of not belayed, but they used a what do you call it, like a climbing, they used climbing rope, and then they had like a device. I forgot what that device is called, but anyway, like you pull the rope and it pulls you up a little bit, and then you move the device up, pull the rope again, move the device up. So my son got to do that, and then sort of rappel back down, and I've still got pictures of him doing that somewhere. But the coolest thing to have these parks 15 minutes away from the house. And then of course there is Alexander's Lake, and they do there's an archery range nearby. And then they also they did, when we lived there, they had canoe and SUP rental, I believe, like right on Alexander's Lake, and you can do some fishing out there if you want to. The trail actually runs over Alexander Lake, so there's a big wood platform that kind of runs around over the water on Alexander's Lake. And if you go out, going back north up to Arabia Mountain State Park, if you go out into the woods around the Arabia Mountain Trailhead, there is there's a couple lakes out there. They're small. They're little bitty tiny lakes, but there's a couple out there. But then also in the middle of the woods, there's grave markers, like a big wrought iron fence, and then inside are graves, like out in the middle of just a bunch of trees, like off the trail a little bit. So I remember encountering those, and that was interesting. And then another thing, if you read up on the history of that area near Arabia Mountain, it actually used to be a granite quarry. So as you're running through that area, a lot of you'll see where they just stopped production one day. So there's still huge slabs, like cut rectangular slabs of granite out there. It's pretty interesting. It's an interesting place to explore. I hope I'm remembering this right. I believe, yeah, that's Arabia Mountain where you'll see all that. And yeah, so I hope I'm right here. I think there's a Madanak at Arabia Mountain. So there's one there, and then as you go down to Panola Mountain, there's a second one. Yeah, there is. That's right. And then you keep on going south, south, south. There's a bunch of parks on the way, and then you'll end up at the Monastery of the Holy Spirit. So that particular trail, and then the trails at the Conyers Horse Park were two pretty awesome places to go. And there's others. Those two were just super close to where I used to live, and there's times that I miss those places, and I actually miss living in Atlanta sometimes, living in Georgia, just because not only those places, but you could go to Northwest Georgia or around Kennesaw, and the Battlefield Park there is a beautiful place to run. Northwest Georgia, they've got the Pinhoti Trail, which is the feeder trail to the Appalachian Trail, and some beautiful runs there over Johns Mountain, and then even going over towards towards Chatsworth, Fort Mountain. And so there's places that you can run out there too. Just watch out for black bears and rattlesnakes and copperheads. That's one thing we don't have to worry about much here in Hawaii, and I'm glad of that. I think about the biggest thing here would be a boar, running into a boar, maybe a sheep if they were super mad, or a ram, or a really big centipede, I guess, if you're over towards Hamakua, maybe towards YPO, in a wet area. A big old centipede would be troublesome. There was a guy that found one out there, and I think that thing was like 14 inches long. It was like so it looked prehistoric almost, as big as the dude's arm. And I think he gave a detailed story of like trying to kill it, and it was nearly impossible. And so that's the stuff of nightmares, but that's about the biggest thing that you're going to have to worry about, I think, in Hawaii. Living thing, I guess. The other thing you have to worry about in Hawaii is falling off the side of a cliff, or it just being me and tripping on a rock, and God forbid, getting some kind of heavy bleed in the middle of nowhere without a medical kit. I recommend carrying a medical kit. Matter of fact, I've got one. I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago where I was complaining because somebody stole my first aid kit that I always kept in my truck. I totally forgot that I had one in the house that I never hardly used, and it had some stuff in it, and so I put that one in my truck and quit my bickering. But I'm going to get another one. I think I'm going to invest in a kit that has a tourniquet and maybe some, I forgot what it's called, like a clotting agent. So like a bandage that stops bleeding. And what else? Oh, I need one that's got a SAM splint in it, because you never know, right? I could probably fashion a splint out of some tree limbs and handkerchiefs, but it would be nice just to have a SAM splint around. And of course, you shouldn't go anywhere without Mylar blankets. those emergency blankets. So those are a couple things that are on my list, because you never know in Hawaii. There's always temperature changes, weather changes. There's always danger. A lot of places that you can go are remote, and you could get lost and never be found. So, yep, just gotta keep that in mind. But no snakes and no bears, as far as I know, and that's one thing that I do know pretty well. Just a lot of sharp rocks. But yeah, so I think that about wraps it up. If I kept on talking, it would be about nothing. But I'll try to do another episode soon. But like I was saying at the beginning, please head over to the Runnin Thought Reddit page. Give me some suggestions, questions, whatever. Talk to me. Send me funny pictures. Whatever you want to do. And that's r/a Runnin Thought, no G. And that's over on Reddit. And then also you can check out a link to the Teespring store over on runningthought.com. Again, no G, so it's actually a Runnin Thought, Runnin no G.com. And there's a link to the Teespring store there. So get some gear. For anybody wondering what LBC DBC stands for, that is a brainchild of mine. I was trying to think of something catchy that I could put on a shirt that was sort of like an inside thing, but of course it's out there for everybody to know. But so LBC DBC stands for live by the couch, die by the couch, and it can mean, I guess, whatever you want it to mean. But for me, the intention was, if you don't keep yourself going, then you're gonna slow down and experience death. So that could be physical death, or that could be mental death, or however you want to look at it. But keep going, keep yourself fresh, keep your mind healthy and your body reasonably healthy, and just keep going. That's basically the sentiment behind it. I don't want anybody to die by their couch or live by their couch. So get out there and do stuff, especially during COVID. Just don't do it around a bunch of other people yet, until the vaccine starts working and we get some herd immunity, hopefully. But if you want to protect yourself, then I've got face masks and neck gaiters over on at the Teespring store. You can check those out. But I definitely recommend the trucker hat. That's probably the most awesome thing that I've gotten from the Teespring store so far. Stickers and all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, so check out the Teespring store, check out the Reddit page. Let me know what kind of things you want to hear about. If you need some advice, if you're getting started out, or if you want to give some advice, do it there too. Let me know if you want to be on the podcast with me, and we can make arrangements to do that. I would love to talk to people about why they started running and what keeps them going. I don't ever want to get to the point where we are trading shoe tips or suggestions, or like over analyzing our numbers and stats. But I would like to know about you and why you run, and what keeps you going, and those kind of things, because I think that's the most interesting thing to hear, and that's kind of makes for the best conversations. And definitely food too. It's always interesting to hear what people eat and why, and kind of share that information and recipes and all that good stuff too. But yeah, you can do that on Reddit now. I had it I mean, you can still do it on the runninthought.com, but you have to sign up for a user account and blah 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 blah. So I figure it's just easier to do it on Reddit since that's a well-known platform. But anyways, I've just keep talking. I need to quit. So I'm gonna end this now, and then I'll look forward to doing another episode soon. As always, thanks for listening, and stay out there running. And I guess I'll start closing these episodes with just saying LBC DBC. So LBC DBC. This is Clint. I'm out.